The member from Nipissing.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for the opportunity to speak for the next 10 minutes. 9 minutes and 15 seconds. Thank you. Speaker, we heard from the minister earlier why they wanted to have this speed in getting this bill time allocated. But I can tell you the real reason why they're in such a hurry to get this bill done is because they cannot wait. They simply cannot wait to get their hands on your money. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the real reason that Bill 172 is here. Now, we would acknowledge that climate change is indeed a very serious challenge that requires a credible plan to reduce greenhouse gas emissions while protecting the taxpayer and our economy. But we're very concerned, Speaker, that this government will take advantage of the goodwill that the people have shown in respect to climate change. They're going to take advantage of that goodwill and use it as another opportunity to raid their pocketbooks. I can tell you, Speaker, that there is $1.9 billion a year that will come out of the cap-and-trade fund that they continue to tell the public will be used to help lower greenhouse gases. But let me take you on a small tour through their own document, Speaker, which will illustrate to you that that indeed is not what they're using the money for.
Stick around and see what you started.
The fall economic statement was the first chance we had to see the depth of money that we're talking about. And back then it quoted $1.6 billion was available, but they showed it going right into revenue, Speaker. That was amazing. It counters everything that they claim this money is for. This was shown right into revenue. In fact, I'll quote from the National Post, November 27th. The document also reveals for the first time how much money the government hopes to raise from a new cap-and-trade scheme that will be phased in starting 2016. At that time, of course, we were with the old numbers. They went on to say it expects to raise $300 million that year and $1.3 billion the next. And that, of course, is from the National Post. Speaker, that's on page 106 and 107 of the fall economic statement. And let me read you the wording that went along with that. Because it says a preliminary of the estimate of the revenues that are expected arising from auctioning of cap-and-trade allowances are $1.6 billion. But only 4 months later, Speaker, in the actual 2016 budget, not only did the number rise to $1.9 billion, but again, Speaker, it went directly into revenue. Now, they would be very quick to tell you, well, of course, we take that money in and then we're going to spend it on greenhouse gas emissions. Sure. So when the actual bill was tabled, and they did the same trick with the Hydro One sale on Bill 144. If you look, it's a 67-page bill. Page 65 of that, right down at the bottom on the inside corner, is one sentence, Speaker, of the Hydro Bill, the Hydro Bill 144, that said they can use that money to reimburse themselves for money already spent on transit and infrastructure. And that is exactly what's in this bill. That's why they want to rush this bill through, Speaker. That's why they want closure, so that I can't stand here and we all can't stand here and tell the public about the real facts. So if you look at Bill 172 and you look at page 44 or 45, I believe, you will find it's a 56-page bill, and if you look at the Schedule 68, and I'll remember that number, Speaker, Schedule 68, because I'm going to talk about it again in a couple of minutes. It says under authorized expenditures that money of the cap-and-trade fund can be used to fund directly or indirectly costs described in Schedule 1. So then you flip to the last page of the book, page 56, and you'll see Schedule 1, and it tells you that you can use the money to pay for active transportation infrastructure, and that's public transit vehicles and infrastructure. They list that. And then it sends you back to yet another chapter, and that's where the magic words are. So you can see it's a big shell, it's a big circle. You have to go from A to B to C, all through these things, but all it gets to, again, are a few words, one sentence that tells you subsection 3 of Schedule 68 on page 47, the money can be used to reimburse the Crown for expenditures directly or indirectly related to the items I already mentioned. So here we go again. It's a shell game. They take your money, they tell you that they will buy items that will reduce greenhouse gases, such as public transit vehicles and infrastructure, and then lo and behold, they put that money in the fund, pay for, they're allowed to pay for items they already budgeted for. So that $130 billion that the Premier announced in 2014 and again in 2015, this $130 billion is exactly what they can spend this money on. They gave themselves a little loophole, one tiny little sentence that tells you that's the real purpose. And all of this, Speaker, is so they can artificially balance their deficit, balance their budget by 2017-18. All the documents that we have, the public accounts, fall economic statement, their budget, all of these items show they cannot balance without that extra revenue. They need the revenue from Hydro One. They can't hide from it anymore. It's been proven now.
That real Christmas tree smell. It's
been proven now that they're using the Hydro One revenue, and now by using that exact same sentence, they can now use that cap-and-trade money to reimburse on money they were already going to be spending, transit vehicles and infrastructure. And that's an absolute fact now. So it's funny, Speaker, we revealed this a couple of weeks ago, and to give it a little credence and a little credibility, the Financial Accountability Officer took it upon himself. He was not asked to, he was not compelled to, he took it upon himself to go to the committee hearings of Bill 172, and he brought exactly the same fact up. He said, Speaker, that on Section 68, the section that I referred to, it states, Section 68 may hinder his ability to provide you and your fellow members with information on the fiscal impacts of the Act. There could be a case where even if revenues do match expenses, there could be an impact on the surplus or deficit of the province. This would occur if some of the expenses were not on new initiatives but were tied to previously planned expenses. Speaker, the Financial Accountability Officer figured it out. Didn't take him very long. Didn't take our caucus very long to figure that out as well, that just as they did with the Hydro One sale, they had a little clause to allow them quietly to use the money for things they already budgeted for, and to use that money that they had already budgeted to lower the deficit. They've done it with the Hydro One, and now they're doing it with the cap-and-trade. So, Speaker, that is what this charade is all about. They don't want us standing here talking about the fact that they're using money, they're preying on the goodwill of the public who want to genuinely do something about the serious issue of climate change. They're preying on the public to be able to use that as a guise to pay off their deficit, which we all know was accumulated by waste, mismanagement, and scandal. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you.